Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June 10th Town Council meeting. On our council agenda this evening, I have asked our Deputy Mayor, I'm always anxious to start, Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was mailed to the Star-Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on November 23, 2013. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on November 23, 2013. Councilman Cirillo?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krakowiak?
Present.
Councilwoman Spango? Present. Council President McCartney?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So I was anxious to start our June 10th conference agenda. Since June 14th is Flag Day, I have asked our Deputy Mayor, Ralph Panciello, here to talk about a ceremony that will be hosted at the Elks. Max, I just called you Max. Ralph, please give us more details on Friday's event and the whole flag burning ceremony.
My name is Ralph Panciello, Commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars. And the Veterans of Foreign Wars has been in West Orange since 1921. But I haven't been it that long. I'm not that old. Anyway, Flag Day is June the 14th. And we've been having Flag Day with the Fire Department in West Orange for a number of years now. But this year they have another commitment. So instead of doing it on the 14th, we're going to do it on a Friday the 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning at the firehouse. And what we do is retire the flags. You're not supposed to say burn, retire. But we have to retire it by burning one flag. And the firemen light the fire in a big drum for us, and we take care of one flag. And when it's burnt down, we scatter the ashes under the flagpole there or near the monuments. So that'll be, everybody's welcome to come. And we have refreshments, coffee, and buns after that. So you're all welcome at 10 o'clock. Friday, 13th.
At the Elks on Main Street?
No.
At the Elks on Main Street?
The firehouse.
At the firehouse?
Fire headquarters.
Which fire headquarters?
Sorry.
Give the address.
Donna Valley.
415 Valley Road.
I have quite a number of flags, and I got some large ones off of a councilman there, and I'm going to take care of them also. What we can burn here, we take to the crematory. And one year, I gave to the Boy Scouts, and they use them for an Eagle project. So they had over 150 flags to take care of, and they use that for a project. But you can't bury the flags, throw them in the garbage or nothing. Right. And you can't burn them, so we burn one of them, the VFW, and we take care of the rest. All right, thank you very much.
So
Any
thank
questions?
you, Ralph. So if anyone does need to dispose of a flag or retire a flag, they can bring them here to your office here in Town Hall, or can they bring them with them if they decide
Flags
to
you can
come?
bring right here to me.
Right here in Town Hall?
Yeah, right at room 103. Bring them to me, or if I'm not there, leave them in front of the door.
And then you will properly retire the flags?
Properly retire them, yes.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So everyone's welcome to come at the firehouse. 10 o'clock, there'll be coffee and refreshments, which is supplied by the firehouse. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it used to be.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is a presentation from the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. A few months back, Business Administrator and the Environmental Commission Chair, Mike Brick, and myself met with the Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission and Rutgers to talk about stormwater management, or how to better our stormwater management and implement a plan. So I've asked them here this evening to talk about that with us, because we do have a resolution and agreement that we can discuss after your presentation. Thank you. So let me introduce Ashley Schlegel and Jeremiah Bergstrom. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Schlegel with the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission, and this is Jeremiah Bergstrom with Rutgers Cooperative Extension Water Resources Program. We are in year one of a new initiative that we've just rolled out. It's a green infrastructure program for the 48 municipalities within the PVSC Sewage District. We know that stormwater impacts our ambient water quality. About 60% of New Jersey's water pollution is attributable to stormwater runoff. It also contributes to combined sewer overflows in those combined sewer communities, which West Orange is not. West Orange is a separate storm community. But the cumulative impacts on water quality are becoming an issue. So we're rolling out this green infrastructure initiative in order to better manage that stormwater on site in low impact, sustainable, low development type ways where we can infiltrate the stormwater on site or at least retain it from entering the system right away. And we want to do this throughout the entire district, but we started in year one with 7 municipalities, of which West Orange is one of the ones that we've been working with. We've entered into a partnership with Rutgers Water Resources Program in order to implement this initiative. And we had 3 main objectives in year one. Municipal outreach and education. We started with a kickoff meeting at Passaic Valley back in May 2013. We then had 4 public information sessions where we were looking for input from communities who would be interested in working with us in year one, and that's where we first made contact with Mike Brick from your Environmental Commission. We also had a green infrastructure training program at PVSC back in January of this year. And then the second objective is the real meat and potatoes of the project. It's community-based technical assistance through the Rutgers Water Resources Program. PVSC is providing the funding to Rutgers to do on-site analyses for each of those 7 municipalities in order to develop individualized green infrastructure feasibility plans, which would identify multiple opportunities within your municipality where green infrastructure practices could be implemented in order to manage stormwater. Passaic Valley is providing the funding for those plans through Rutgers, and in exchange, we're asking each municipality to commit to installing 2 projects that are identified in that plan of your choosing within 2 years. It could be something as simple as hosting a build-your-own rain barrel workshop for residents in your town, or installing a low-cost rain garden on public property. Schools happen to be a popular site to do such a thing, or even modifying some of your town ordinances to put in more strict stormwater regulations and incorporate green infrastructure into that. We're asking that those projects be implemented within 2 years of completion of the plan. We've met multiple times with municipal officials in West Orange for local input, ideas of other places where we could put projects pretty easily on public lands, to get an idea of, you know, West Orange's problems with stormwater. Are there intersections that you're always finding nuisance flooding in? You know, where can we really start to target these things so that the plan makes sense for your community? And then the last initiative, or the last objective of our program this year is demonstration projects. Rutgers has developed a plan for the administration building at PVSC. We're putting in a new plaza along with the rehabilitation of the building after it sustained damage during Hurricane Sandy. That plaza is going to showcase a number of green infrastructure techniques, including permeable pavements, rain gardens, possibly a cistern for rainwater harvesting. And then we're also going to install a few, 2 to 3 probably, demonstration projects within the 48 municipalities somewhere that's publicly visible as a demonstration of what can be done with such things. And then we intend to renew this partnership with Rutgers over multiple years so that we can do a handful of communities each year and eventually branch out to all 48 municipalities within the sewage district. Okay. That's it.
That's it.
That's it?
That's the plan.
And we're here to answer any questions if anyone
Well-
has any.
I just want to give everyone a little backstory, that when we did initially meet, we were given their green infrastructure feasibility plan, and I think it was on our agenda, and then it was I took it off the agenda because a lot of the sites that were listed on here were on private properties. We weren't ready to go that route, which is why we had the township engineer and the our recycling coordinator, and Nick Solis, who has helped me put together this Sustainable Jersey certification for the township at the next meeting. So what I like about how moving forward, they have been able to offer you additional sites that they see where this really is feasible for us to move forward. The good news for us, if we move, I hope my colleagues will support this relationship. Our Sustainable Jersey certification expires next year, so in 2015, so we do need to work on new projects. We received a $10,000 grant with the initiative of the rain barrels when we went for our certification. So now we would be looking for strengthening our ordinances. That'll be a recommendation I give to the planning board at our next meeting, and also putting in these rain gardens. And now that we actually know that there are sites available, you know, it actually seems like it can get done.
That's a perfect fit.
Right.
We've done a number of projects, green infrastructure projects, through funding from Sustainable Jersey in a number of communities across the state. You know, the planning process we started with was doing a quick evaluation. You know, a quick evaluation of the community from a big picture view, and coming out and doing some initial site investigations, and that was that draft presentation you have there. And then our goal really is to then get feedback and input from the community to really make it a plan that's crafted and specific to your community and your community's needs. And, you know, rain gardens, rain barrels, cisterns, rainwater harvesting, and low impact development type strategies all fit very nicely into several of the Sustainable Jersey programs that can help you continue moving forward with your certification.
Well, I was even more encouraged because this Saturday we had this outstanding street fair on our main street, and because I had this feasibility study and the private locations were on there, I spoke to one of the owners who happened to be at the street fair about that, and very receptive. It's the Knowles family, and I know we're going to thank them anyway because of their contribution to the street fair, but it was the Knowles family who owns one of these sites, and willing to work with us.
We've done work on a number of different sites across the state. We've worked on corporate campuses like Subaru of America. We've worked on college campuses. We've worked on a number of schools, as well as, you know, public municipal properties. You know, the idea in this plan is to really look at, okay, where can we put some really unique practices in places that are publicly visible. We can see them work, we can see them function, we can figure out how to best integrate them into the fabric of the community.
Great, good. Any questions?
Yes. How has your success been in water harvesting? Like, what potential programs have you done, and what have the results been?
For rainwater?
With rainwater harvesting, with, you know, rain barrels, with, you know, reusing?
Well, a couple different things with rainwater harvesting. We've done rain barrel programs, outreach. For the past 5 years, we've distributed over 3,000 rain barrels across the state through that program. In addition, we've done a number of rainwater harvesting systems. We've done rainwater harvesting systems of 5,000 to 6,000 gallon tanks at public works facilities, one in Clark, in Union County, one in Parsippany Troy Hills. They collect the rainwater runoff from their rooftops, use it to fill their street sweepers and wash their vehicles. They're not using potable water that they have to pay for, using harvested rainwater for that. And using it for nonprofit car washes in Clark. We also have rainwater harvesting working successfully in anywhere from 300 to 1,000 gallon tanks in community gardens in a number of communities across the state.
Have you done an economical study about how much savings there was?
We've not done that in depth at this point. We don't have a lot of hard data for that. It's in terms of, we have calculations of how much water they're using. We haven't been able to go back and see and be able to compare directly with their water usage.
Is the general public, is there an availability, a website where the general public can go on and review what's available? So if they couldn't go through the township, is there something they can do directly with Rutgers?
Yes, we have information on our website about rainwater harvesting. We have fact sheets on rain barrels, how to build them, how to install them, how to maintain them.
Okay, can you tell us what your website is?
It's water.rutgers.edu.
Okay. Do you have a lot of individuals that actually come to Rutgers without the municipality? Like,
Yeah, we do rain barrel workshops all over the state, and we host these workshops and at a number of different community groups through nonprofit organizations, through schools, as well as through municipalities.
Okay. How's the corporate response been to you?
Corporate response has been positive. It's been hard to get a foot in the door with many of them, but where we've been able to get into the right individual at the corporate end of things, we've been able to have success.
Have you touched base with the municipalities where those corporations are and try to get them to help use a little leverage?
Yes, we've done that too. Gone through that process.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
They're
Council
very
President.
persistent, I'll tell you. They're very persistent.
I hope I answered your questions.
Yes, you did.
All right.
Any other questions? Councilman Krokoviac.
Thank you, Council President. I wasn't sure I understood. There's actually a plan that's been drafted? Now, maybe I've missed that. Have you?
No, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we need them to do. The plan they gave us had some sites just explaining what their intention is, and they have not developed a plan for us.
We prepared a preliminary presentation with a preliminary evaluation of the types of strategies we think would be appropriate, and identified a handful of potential project sites. Those we shared with Susan, Mike Brick, and the engineer, and Jack about these are the kinds of things that we're talking about, and we'd like to then take that, develop a final plan. These sites could be part of that, or anything in addition to that you can provide would be great in terms of making it more unique and more specific to the town.
Was it West Orange specific?
What's that? Yeah, these sites were specific.
Okay.
Yep.
Or they will be.
Could somebody send that to me? Even though we're not using it, it'd be very helpful to get that.
Yep. I have it. I can send it to you.
Great, thank you.
I'll forward it to, who should I forward it to? I can email it to tomorrow.
council@westorange.org.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did I understand you correctly to say that West Orange is one of the first 7 municipalities in the program?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any municipalities that are further ahead than West Orange in terms of doing the projects?
In terms of doing the projects, no. We have, currently we have one plan completed. That's for the town of Montclair. Their plan we're going to hand to them tomorrow. They've approved their interagency agreement a month or so ago. So we finished up that plan. We're also working on finalizing plans for Little Falls. Little Falls in Passaic County, they approved their agreement, and so that plan is going to be finalized in the next couple of weeks as well. Those two are a little bit further along than West Orange is right now, but no one has really moved forward with any projects yet. I believe Montclair is moving forward with a rain barrel distribution program, but no other project in the works moving forward with that.
And how many different types of activities can a municipality engage in? I know you rattled off a few of them.
There's any number of types of things. What we're really looking for are taking action to better manage stormwater and using new technologies and new approaches that really deal with it on site, keeping it out of the storm sewer system. So, things, like new pavements that allow water to infiltrate into the soil, even tree plantings, as well as rainwater harvesting through, community outreach and education is a great component too. And that can be even just a piece of this. Getting the community informed and aware of the issue and the opportunity for them to each individually take action. And then also other larger scale projects.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask about.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
if I read the resolution that we're considering tonight, we actually commit to doing 2 of these projects that
Yep.
you recommend.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out what the potential cost might be and where that money might come from.
Okay.
So can you give us a range
Sure.
of what the cost might be and where the money might come from?
Well, rain barrel workshops or educational workshops, those can run for anywhere from, for free for certain, those costs are not going to be any exorbitant costs with, County Extension Agent Amy Rowe could come down and help with some of those programs. Workshops may also cost up to $500 or $1,000, depending on what you're doing and how much materials you need. Rain gardens typically cost anywhere in the order of $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000. I funded rain garden projects of that scale through Sustainable Jersey grants several times, and with the Green Team. Other programs at schools, we funded that through a number of different private and PTO organizations, as well as providing, finding funding for materials for a few $100s, and then getting support from either the municipality or the school for the labor and the equipment needed to actually put the project in the ground. Typical projects that we're looking at in this in this kind of a program, we're going to range anywhere from probably, $500 to $5,000 in terms of a type of project, depending on how large the scale of project and what kind of a program you're looking at moving forward with.
In your experience, do most of the grants that municipalities qualify for, can they be used for these projects? Like Sustainable Jersey
Yeah.
and Clean
Yes.
Communities?
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just to piggyback on what Councilman Krakowiak just said, when you mentioned Amy Rowe did come out to the municipality, and she gave free training to, when we did our rain barrels.
Sure.
And the whole art project, that was our grant. Amy came out and trained the Department of Public Works for that, so that was free.
Yep.
So I can understand, I can grasp the concept of a rain barrel. I know what that looks like.
Yep.
Rain garden sounds very beautiful, but I can't conceive of what exactly something like that is.
A rain garden is simply a shallow landscape depression that
Hole in the
can be planted in a number of different ways, the number of different plant materials to fit a number of different aesthetics. In many areas, in a lot of ways, it's just rather than going out and berming up our landscape like we always do and building these nice mounds, going out and creating a shallow landscape depression that's designed to actually capture the stormwater runoff from the rooftops or from a parking area or a driveway before it drains right into the storm sewer. All right? And we capture that first inch of rain in there, and we allow that water to infiltrate into the soil over the course of 24 or 48 hours.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Excuse me, Council President. May I-
Councilman Guarino.
I just want to make a statement, though. We do have a successful farmer's market, and at our farmer's market, we do have available purchases for rain barrels at a cost of $50.
Yep.
So we already have we have the supplier here, and it's, at our weekly farmer's market. So, it's
Yeah.
good. I think you should know that, too, and that's the cost. The cost is $50
Yep.
to the resident.
I know.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we've worked with a number of different programs providing rain barrels at lower cost than commercial. Can we provide additional information? Can we help you get the word out to get more people to adopt that practice and then start tracking to see how many people are actually buying and implementing and managing those barrels? That would be a great program. Try to push that forward.
I'm sorry, may I ask another question, Councilman? Just to ask you another question, do you have, on your website, can they go on and find out status of different programs statewide of what's going on within their community? I mean, we'll put it on our website when we do it, it'll go on our town website, but does the Rutgers website, allow residents to look and peruse what's available, so maybe they can see what's going on in other towns?
Yes, we have a number of different projects and programs that we have outlined on our website that specifically talk about the types of things we're doing in communities across the state of New Jersey.
Okay. And does it list costs, what the municipalities are spending?
Yep. There's information on the kind of agreements and the contracts and the work, whether it's planning or implementation of what things are, yes.
And whatever grants are being applied or available?
Yep.
Okay.
And where the funding's coming from, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
So if we, as a council, approve the resolution that's on the agenda today,
Yes.
what would be the estimated timeline from here on out to where we get things going, when we get another plan, when we start deciding on that and that sort of thing?
I would like to have the final plan done for West Orange by the end of July, and we would then start working with you to move forward. I'm helping maybe secure another Sustainable Jersey grant or look at other sources on that. We're working together to try to find other ways of financing some of these projects as we move forward, because again, we have 7 plans we're wrapping up this year. We hopefully will do another 7 next year. That's going to be a lot of projects. We'd like to enable people and communities to really start moving on this.
And why did you pick West Orange as one of the first 7?
Because Mike Brick showed up to the meeting we had in Newark.
Thank you.
There
Thank you.
go.
That's about as honest as I can be.
And I don't see Mike here, but he would tell you the parts per, however you measure the water, stormwater runoff, he would tell you every inch of soil and how much would get absorbed. So next time I'll have Mike let you know. Mr. Cirillo.
Council President, quick question. The initial expenses are covered by the Passaic Valley Sewage Authority. Okay, so what kind of expenses would we be responsible for? I know that there's a reimbursement clause. Should we not implement any of those projects, we would be responsible for paying for those initial upfront expenses. But what if we
What is that?
follow up? Yeah.
If you completely ignore us and don't do anything we tell you to do, or ask you to do, not tell you, we will ask you to do, the cost for the plan is $10,000.
Okay. All right.
$10,000.
Right. And
The plan that we're
Passaic
preparing for
Valley
you,
Sewage
that
Authority,
Passaic Valley.
Should we not implement the programs that are, recommended, then we would reimburse Passaic Valley Sewage Authority $10,000. Exactly, right.
Yeah.
I just want to confirm now,
Right.
as it relates to the township, is it the Environment Committee that will be?
It would be the township engineer is involved in this, and he was at our preliminary meetings, yeah, and the Environmental
As
Commission.
long as we have the commitment?
There's a certain
and
there's
the,
certainly a commitment, yes.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Now's the time.
My last question, with this prepared project and all that, it'll also be, our town engineer will be able to use this to highlight areas of potential water, high water levels, sewer backups, and the whole potential where we need to address,
We're not going to go into that level of detail at this point in the plan. We're going to look at where there are opportunities. At a future time, if we can get more information about the storm sewer network in the town, we can work with the engineer and the community on that. You will probably be looking to do some of that anyway in the next few years when DEP finishes renewing and revising the stormwater permits that they're doing right now. They're auditing those right now. And green infrastructure is going to be part of those new separate storm sewer permits that are coming out in the next year or two.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Council
Thank
President.
you. Thank you very much. So next on our conference agenda is the Public Information Officer's update. Do you have that? Okay, I have a copy. Please.
Jessica asked us to do the
Okay. Oh, I want you to do the street fair, but I just have another announcement about the West Orange partnering with 8 to 8 Barbershop. Do you have that?
I'm sorry, say it again.
With the 8 to 8 Barbershop and the National Fatherhood Buzz campaign for Father's Day giveaway contest.
Yeah, it's similar to what they did for the Mother's Day and Valentine's
Okay,
Day.
good.
So you go on the website, you like info.westorange.org, and you get thrown into a pool, and the day before Father's Day, you end up winning 8 to 8 Barbershop. And they do a great hot shave for like $30. You get it for free.
Did you have one?
This
They
is
do
a
a real
national
nice shave and a
campaign.
haircut kind of thing.
Good.
So I'm sorry. She didn't tell me about that.
One more, sorry, Jim. Saturday, June 14th is a dedication of the Watchung Heights Police Substation at 92 Washington Street. This is a ceremony at 10:30 a.m. in memory of our West Orange police officer, Timmy Groves. It will be followed by a barbecue fundraiser for the New Jersey Special Olympics at the Elks Club. That's where that came from. And donations can also be made to the Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics here in New Jersey. Donations can be made to gofundme.com/TimmyGroves168 or go to the westorange.org website for all of this information. So that's this Saturday at 10:30, dedicating the substation to Timmy Groves. Can I keep going?
Street Fair.
Go right ahead.
My name is John McElroy. I'm the chairman of the Downtown Alliance. The Alliance is here tonight to thank many people for a very successful day Saturday at our street fair. I'd like to point out several departments here, specifically Public Works. I like to call them the can-do department. They were unbelievable in helping us pull us together and to clean it up afterwards. We had our dream team of departments here involved in this fair. We had the townships, with the help of Jessica Glicker, getting the word out and publicizing it. We had the Chamber of Commerce involved, the Downtown Alliance, of course, and our new partner in the street fair, the Addison National Historic Site, which turned out to be just a phenomenal collaboration for this. They've doubled their best attendance at any Edison Day.
Tripled.
Oh, tripled?
Tripled. Usually I'm
The
there on
numbers kept going up all day.
Well, usually I'm there on Edison Day, and we range between 800 and 1,000 people. About midday, they said they had about 2,000 people, and by the end of the evening, it was 3,500.
It was, like
they're
I said,
very, very
it was a
pleased.
great collaboration. I specifically am very impressed with all the different organizations that came together on this. We didn't have a lot of time to put it together, but it came together well, and it was a great day with a lot of people out on Main Street, which is, you know, it's our goal as the Alliance. So we have our footprint now. We have a baseline for this street fair for the future. We are going to stay partnered with the Edison National Historic Site and the Chamber. And we can say now, save the date. It's June 6th next year.
That's right.
So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one little thing to add about all of that. Pretty much everybody that was involved in the street fair was their paid gig to, you know, pull off the street fair, except for John. John was the sole volunteer, you know, didn't get any money. His staff, 2 of his staff members came and helped us, you know, at 6 o'clock in the morning, was there with us on Saturday. I think his office manager is really happy that the street fair is over, between the beer garden people calling and the 900 tents getting dumped at his office. They really, really stepped up, and, you know, John would never say that, you know, he was in part responsible, but, you know, he was the volunteer guy, and I got to tell you, when I was not thinking that we were going to be able to do this, John was there, and you know, we were able to pull this off because of him and Select Auto. So, you know, thank you. It's a pleasure working with all of these people. You know, everybody from start to finish, it was never about, you know, what the problem was. It was, uh-oh, and how do we solve it? And everyone in every part of our town, you know, really jumped in. When we weren't sure if we were going to have enough food vendors, Rotary stepped up and said, you know, we'll do it. And then I had to call them and say, I think we're okay. But everybody really just wanted to do the very best thing on that day, and the weather cooperated, and we had a great day.
Very nicely. Very
Thank you
nice.
all.
I think he's also partnering with the township for the picnic, having the picnic incorporated with this. You got the benefit of working with Dr. Zal and Josie Velez, and because of their legwork, we had a lot of donations. I mentioned the Knowles family before. They donated dinner for 2 at the High Lawn Pavilion, which our municipal clerk won, dinner for 2 at the Manor, 1 night stay at the Marriott Residence Inn, and also the Wilshire Grand. They donated a hotel stay at the Wilshire Grand also. So we had lots of...
That is great. I didn't even know that was going on then.
So a lot
That's
of
cool.
donations.
Yeah, there really was just such cooperation, and I think everybody really benefited from, you know, each part of it. We never got that many people at a residents' picnic, so there were so many people, and I think that folks from out of town that came were like, why doesn't my town do a picnic like that? So I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it.
Great. We need to post lots of pictures of that.
Yeah,
Councilman
and,
Cirillo.
we talked about the Public Works Department, and a lot of our departments, township departments were there, volunteering their time at the picnic. Health Department, and all the committees.
Everybody,
Human
library,
Relations was there, a PR
everybody.
committee. So we should strongly commend them as well. The Township Clerk, Sherry Quirk, Mayor's Office, you know, answering any questions that residents may have. I had some friends over from Montclair that came in, from Verona. They were really impressed and real happy with, you know, what
I love
the
when
activities.
folks from out of town say, wow.
Yeah. And the shuttle service that was provided was a great idea.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was good proactive thinking. So I commend you for that. Thank you, Council President.
My turn.
Thank you, Megan, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. One more announcement?
No, council, well, like the street, the
Council
downtown.
Williams.
Is it okay, Council President?
Sure, you
Okay.
can start.
First of all, you know, I just want to congratulate the West Orange Downtown Alliance as your council liaison, and to thank the Chamber of Commerce and Public Relations Committee and all the town employees who really turned out and made it a fantastic day. I mean, you've heard the comments that went on. It was a tremendous sight to see. I mean, and Mr. McElroy, thank you for your trucks. I mean, the kids had a great time seeing the equipment that your company has, and for really orchestrating that and bringing it all together, John. And you're a tremendous friend to the Township of West Orange, and you know, thank you for that. It was a great turnout, as everybody said. The Edison Laboratories haven't seen a crowd this large and attendance this large at any time, and to triple their attendance due to this partnership is a great thing, and it will continue. So thank you. I also want to thank all the town employees that made it successful, for the fire department, police department, public works, for helping us putting it together and taking it down. So thank you. One other announcement is this Friday and Saturday is the West Orange Relay for Life at the West Orange High School. It starts 6 o'clock Friday night, and it stays overnight to Saturday morning with a 9 p.m. luminary ceremony. There's still time to sign up and make a donation. All you have to do is visit www.relayforwife.org and just do whatever you can. Come up and show up. Come anytime. We're going to be there from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock Saturday morning. So we look forward to participation. One other note for the Downtown Alliance is our fantastic Farmers Market returns, and they'll return on Friday, July 11th. So please make every effort to come. Everybody's been very excited about the new location. There's more farmers, more vendors, and it's really exciting. We're seeing a great input, and it's a good boost for downtown. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go this way. 7:30 this morning at a West Orange Chamber of Commerce meeting, we had a very nice presentation from the Nancy Mullen and Damon Cowens from West Orange High School about career and technical education structured learning experiences. So it was appropriate for them to be at the chamber, but I really would like to shout out to the community that if you are looking for part-time help, we have a very well-trained and educated students at the high school in accounting and marketing and child development and graphic design, law apprentices, food services, hotel hospitality, interior design, journalism, printing, architecture, interior design, and photography. So if you're looking for an apprentice, we're going to have a presentation at our next council meeting so we can get more information on the structured learning experiences. Any other announcements? Councilman Krokoviac.
The West Orange Open Space Commission met yesterday. It meets on the second Monday of each month. Town Hall, first floor conference room. There wasn't a whole lot of major news coming out of the meeting yesterday, except we found out that the foundation that we're trying to put together, it's a tax-exempt foundation to raise funds to support the town's open space assets, requires a $400 fee to actually apply to the IRS for the tax-exempt status. This doesn't go to anybody but the IRS. And since the foundation is applying for a tax-exempt status, we can't actually solicit tax-deductible funds to pay for this. So if anybody would like to support this with money of any amount, if you could just send an email to us at the council at council@westorange.org, it would be very much appreciated. The West Orange Historic Preservation Commission has not met since the last council meeting. It meets the second Wednesday of each month, Town Hall, first floor conference room. I just wanted to ask a quick question about, and I guess it's to the council president. At the last council meeting, there was some discussion about the energy aggregation program, and I had asked for us to have a presentation from the administration on that, and obviously we don't have one today. And I just wondered, is there something I need to do to get that presentation so we can find out what all the numbers?
Forgive me, but I don't remember there was a request for a presentation, but I do remember Claire was here looking for the numbers, and I did ask John if he did have the numbers for us, not as a full-blown presentation, but at least to give us an idea of what we are saving as a community.
Yeah, we did get the numbers. During the 30-day period, there was 8% of residential properties opted out. Can you hear?
I can't hear you.
Oh, it's on. During the 30-day, the initial 30-day period, there were 8% of residences that opted out. In the initial period, and subsequent to that, there was an additional 16%, for a total of 24% of residents that have opted out. Talking to Gable, they said that that was comparable to what happened in Plumstead as well. So.
Okay. But do we have an amount? Like, what are we saving? Is there any way to determine that?
Well, I think in terms of I mean, the actual dollar amounts of savings in total?
That's what I think, that's what the original question was.
We can, I'm sure we can do a calculation on that. We
Okay.
didn't get that. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that was, I thought the pertinent number was, basically what the numbers of residents. I don't know if they're going to be able to calculate that, because I don't know that they have the kind of data to know which of the 24%, which users, whether they were high users or low users, would be opting out. So I'm not sure that anything that we're going to calculate has would be any direct data. It's just an extrapolation of on average. But that's certainly
We
something
could
that
ask.
can be done.
Okay, we could ask.
So roughly a quarter of the people that were eligible to be in this have opted out?
That's correct.
Okay. Out of, I can't remember, was it like 17,000 households?
Well, but the number that were eligible were just shy of 15,000,
Okay.
because there were a number of residents that already had other suppliers and such. So there was it's a little shy of 15,000.
Okay. One of the things I was curious about, because I tried to find this out while this whole process was going on, was exactly what are the numbers that are going to be delivered through the program. Has the program started yet?
Yes.
So we can take a look at what are the numbers that are being provided through the program compared to what would be provided to the 25% of the population that did not opt in.
When you say the numbers, you mean the costs?
Yeah, the specific savings. If you remember, there was a lot of talk about the range of the savings and the estimates of the savings. Now that the program has begun, and in addition to what has also changed is that PSE&G has had the settlement of their infrastructure request. So I'm curious as to what the actual numbers are, so that we know exactly what the savings are.
Well, again, I think that we, on a month-to-month basis, I would suspect that Gable could provide the total amount of billings, and then apply. We know what the rates differences were, so again, it can be calculated as to what it projected, what it would have been had they not changed, and had the rate structure not changed.
Yeah, I would really like to understand that better, so we can convey to the people out in town. I'd also be interested in how much funds are being distributed to Gable Associates as our agent in all of this as well.
We can ask them for that.
Okay. And I'd also like to know if there's been any complaints or what the satisfaction levels are. I know a couple of people have mentioned to me, not a large number of people, but people have mentioned to me that they've been having problems, so I just was...
I did have a conversation with them last night, as a matter of fact, and they indicated that they'd been very quiet in their experience in terms of the number of complaints. So,
Well,
we didn't quantify it, but his impression was that it was very quiet, that there weren't a lot of complaints.
Could you ask them if they wouldn't mind coming to speak to us at the next meeting and perhaps give them... I'm sure they...
That's up to the council president. I mean, I certainly can ask them the questions and report back if council president, would like to have a full presentation by Gables. We can ask them to come.
Okay.
Would there be a problem for doing that, Council President?
Let's hear what they have to say, if they have information to give us. I don't have a problem doing that. It's just if they have something worthwhile to present.
Yeah, I would certainly think that they track all of this because of the regulatory nature of the service, and also the fact that they have to track this because it determines how they're getting paid. So
yeah, the numbers are going to be the numbers. I'm certain that they can provide us with those numbers. Whether or not what additional, other than the numbers, in terms of them making a presentation, I don't know what else there would be other than that. I mean, the numbers are going to be the numbers. So
Okay, well, we'll hear what they have to say.
yeah, and if you
see
want,
if it's worthwhile.
If you want, I'll send you an email with the various aspects of it that
Specific
I'd like to
questions.
find out about.
Sure.
Okay, great. I also wanted to just follow up on something that came up at the last council meeting about, there was some concern expressed by a resident about some of the tree cutting that was going on at the Essex House. on Northfield Avenue. And just to make it clear, I like the Essex House. I'm not picking on the Essex House. I've eaten there. I encourage everybody to go there. It's not the issue. The issue was that the trees were a great number of trees were cut down there. And I got the permit this morning, and so I'm looking at it, and some things don't make sense to me, so I need to do further discussion with the administration. But they did, according to the permit, cut down 115 live trees and 40 dead and dying trees. And according to the permit, there's not going to be any replacement of those trees. So perhaps at the next council meeting, I'll have more information. And I just wanted to also follow up on something else that was discussed at the last council meeting. Those of you who are watching know that I've been, since early December, been trying to get some basic information about our self-insured health care plan and the costs, who's getting the money, how much are they getting, and why are they getting it.
Joe, I'm going to have to interrupt you right there because there was an email, I know I was copied on it, that they're waiting for you to give them, 2 dates were already set up for a conference call. You weren't available, so they're waiting to hear from you. That's the latest email that I have. So,
Boy, I would love to see that email.
I saw it.
okay.
When did it come? Because the two emails I had a June 4th email from Mr. Gross asking Mr. Graham of Fairview Insurance to arrange a teleconference, and then on June 5th, Mr. Graham sent me an email asking for my preferred phone number, and I responded on that same day.
Then that's what you're waiting for. Then you need to respond to him or speak to him. This isn't about them because now you have the information to ask him directly your questions.
On June 5th, Mr. Graham sent me an email asking me for my preferred phone number,
Okay.
and I responded to that email the same day. So
But that's
perhaps
between you
you
and
could
Mr.
interpret
Graham.
that email then to tell me what my next steps are to try to find out this basic information that I've been looking for since early
But now that
December.
Mr. Graham has your telephone number, he will call you so you can ask him your questions directly.
I see.
I
Because,
would imagine that's why he asked for your telephone number.
yeah, I don't know. He didn't say in the
That's
email.
what I would imagine.
Can the administration shed any light on that? I thought it was supposed to be a teleconference, which I assumed is a multi-party telephone call.
No, we made the suggestion that if you had questions, you either call them or have them call you.
I understand.
And you had sent back to us an email that said you would rather do a teleconference call than do a meeting. And we then forwarded that information to Mr. Graham, who I understand in turn then sent you an email requesting what the best way to contact you was. And then my understanding was you responded back to Mr. Graham and gave him your phone number, and I assume that he's going to get in contact with you.
So here's the emails that I have.
But Joe, it doesn't, now they...
Yes, it does, because I've been trying to get this information since December, all right?
But it's not coming from them, it's coming from...
Councilman, I think the best way for you to get the information is to speak to them personally. We've
Right,
given you
that's how we
information
left
in
it.
writing. We did a 3-hour presentation at a meeting, and you still had more questions. So our position is the best way for you to get your questions answered is to speak to them directly, ask them the questions you need answered, and you'll get your responses. I don't know how much more information we need to give you on the subject. I'm serious. It's already at the New Jersey Division of Banking and Insurance for approval. So I'm not so sure how much more we can do other than give you their phone number and ask you to call them directly and ask the questions you want answered.
So on April 21st, I responded to an email from Mr. Gross in which he offered various ways of whether to meet or to do a telephone call.
And you chose
And I
not
told
to
him,
meet. You said you
excuse
didn't
me,
want
could
to
I
meet.
just finish what I was
Sure,
saying?
but you said you did not want to
Could I
meet.
just finish what I was saying? Thank you.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So he gave me the option of meeting or doing a conference call. I responded on April 21st, I prefer a conference call to a meeting for efficiency's sake. And then I gave my availability. And then a month and a half later, Mr. Gross responded and said, Ryan, I assume that's Mr. Graham, as discussed, please make arrangements to answer Mr. Krakowiak's questions by teleconference. He responded the next day and said, Councilman Krakowiak, what's the best number to reach you at to discuss your concerns? This was on June 5th.
That's correct.
So I responded the next day and gave him my phone number.
That's correct.
And so how much longer would you think that I should be waiting to either get the teleconference that was suggested and I accepted, or this new alternative, which was to
I will
call
follow up with
him?
Mr. Graham tomorrow and make sure he gives you a call.
Okay,
Okay?
that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
You got it.
Thank you. That's it, Council.
All right, we're still on liaison. That's where we are. Okay.
Council liaison
Yes.
announcements. Speaking of which, I owe you $15 for the Hazel
There
School
you
Tribute
go.
Tray
Okay.
fundraiser.
We're even.
Remind me. Yeah. The Degnan House is meeting next week, so we haven't had a meeting. We'll have a report after that. And I do want to mention that the Arts Incubator, and maybe you want to mention that, Council President?
No, go right
That the
ahead.
schedule is out.
Yeah.
And the Jazz Festival is back on September 1st. The website is njai.org. Just go in there and check out all the musical performances being held. It's going to be exciting. The theater is awesome. Outdoor seating, and it's excellent. So we want to commend the Arts Incubator, our partners, in putting together that programming. Thank you, Council President.
I think they have 37. The weather didn't cooperate very well last summer, but Susan Anderson is the new director, and my understanding is that they have 37 performances planned for the summer. So, you're right, it does sound very exciting. This is on Boland Drive on Prospect Avenue at the Oscar Schindler Performing Arts Center.
Thank you,
Councilwoman
Council
Spangler.
President. The Rena House Board met last Tuesday evening, and we voted 4-1 to move forward with the refinancing, which they've been working on for way before I became a board member. And what the refinancing will do is it's going to eliminate 2 existing mortgages, go into 1 mortgage, which the payments will actually be less because it's over a 10-year period, and it will enable them to do, they have an assessment on work that needs to be done, such as the windows that we've all been hearing about, a generator. So we're just waiting to hear back from the bank, but the board did approve to move forward with it.
Thank you. And I found here buried in my council mail, I just want to say congratulations to Boy Scout Troop 6 on behalf of Michael Kerwin, the Scoutmaster. They will have an Eagle Court of Honor ceremony on June 28th for Nathaniel Hawkins, worthy of rank of Eagle Scout. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was mailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on November 23, 2013. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on November 23, 2013. Councilman Cirillo?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman Spango?
Present.
Council President McCartney?
Present.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? The council is now in a public meeting.
Thank you. I would like everyone to just join me for a moment of silence. Tomorrow on June 11th, we have, the council really has advocated for the Badlani Foundation for the past few years, and tomorrow will be the date, June 11th, that Nikhil Badlani, tragic accident on Lenox and Wyoming Avenue in South Orange. So that will mark the date, 2 years that happened. Also, in the township, in the police department, Marianne Williamson died on June 2nd. She was a senior police records clerk for West Orange Police Department for 34 years. So please, just a moment of silence for the both. Thank you. So we are up to public comment. If anyone has a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Darius.
Good afternoon, Town Council. My name is Darius Galati, 58 Mountain Avenue, West Orange. I just want to say, the Our Lady of Lourdes School and Our Lady of Lourdes Church is more than 100 now, open and working. I'm thrilled to have the privilege to do stuff for myself here at West Orange, and do everything I want to do for myself, and know that there aren't many places that are 100 working, open and working. All right, so that's one thing. And the next thing is, everything changes from time to time, so it's a good thing to know. I can charge more for what I do with knowing that. So, have a good summer.
Oh, thanks so much.
Okay.
Good.
Good evening. Jim Troisi, President, West Orange First Aid Squad. Just a couple quick things, and then I'm going to introduce somebody. In reviewing the last town council meeting and knowing that you are going into executive session tonight about pending litigation with the First Aid Squad, I just want to clarify, Mr. Kaiser made a statement last month, or last meeting, that there was an appeal window open for the squad to still file against the township. So I will state unequivocally and publicly that the West Orange First Aid Squad has no intention of appealing. Our original intent, although people use the word sue, we filed for an order to show cause simply because we saw things in the original bid spec that we believed to be unlawful. And in seeking the injunction, all we really were pursuing was an opinion from the United States Office of the Inspector General. In the revised bid spec, everything that we contended was questionable or unlawful was removed. And at that point, our issue became resource allocation and call distribution. And that's what brings us to this. So I just want the council to be aware of that before you go into executive session tonight. With that said, you've heard me say before up here at this podium that the West Orange First Aid Squad was formed in 1963 and incorporated in 1964 for two express purposes. Number one was to respond to medical emergencies within the township, and number two was to educate. So, knowing, as an educator for 29 or 30 years now, that diversity is the key to retention and to maintaining interest, you will be listening to me tonight. I'm going to introduce Cindy Reardon. Cindy is the Northern Area Executive Vice President of the New Jersey State First Aid Council, of which the West Orange First Aid Squad was, is, and will continue to be a member of. It is a cooperative that has existed for 85 years of more than 300 volunteer squads in New Jersey, representing more than 20,000 volunteer EMTs.
Thank you.
Welcome.
My name is Cindy Reardon. I am the Northern Area Executive Vice President of the New Jersey State First Aid Council, as Jim said. The council is comprised of more than 300 first aid and rescue squads and represents more than 20,000 EMS volunteers. We have existed for 85 years, but few people outside of EMS know who we are. Like your own West Orange First Aid Squad, we are predominantly volunteer, nonprofit organization content to live outside the spotlight. However, and this has no reflection on my age, the New Jersey State First Aid Council served as principal coordinating agency for the EMS response at the Hindenburg disaster. We assisted and responded, as did your squad, not only at Ground Zero during 9/11, but throughout the region. We help coordinate responses to local, regional, and national disasters, but our primary purpose is to promote and support volunteerism and to educate officials, both elected and appointed, on not only the cost-saving benefit of a volunteer corps, but the positive effect a volunteer squad has on the community. Benefits all too often overlooked or unnoticed, such as opportunities for high school students to participate as cadets, to experience public service, to be introduced to medical career paths, to qualify for scholarships, and potentially earn college credits. How many of the people here tonight are aware that your squad trains hundreds of scouts for various merit badges? Are you aware that it is the West Orange First Aid Squad that conducts the annual training required for your school bus drivers and aides? Do you know that Mental Health Association of Essex County and other organizations rely on your squad for maintenance of their accreditations? Your squad has been a leader in the EMS industry. They were among the first in the state to implement defibrillators back in the 90s, to self-stock epinephrine for immediately life-threatening allergic reactions. They designed one of the first four-wheel drive ambulances in New Jersey, and several of their original design features are now standards. Jim has served on our education committee, spoken on medical legal issues at our conferences, and rendered expert opinions on EMS in New Jersey Superior Courts. Ken Konitzer has been part of our legislative committee since the 70s. Utilize their expertise to find common ground on your issues. Becoming an EMT today takes more than 200 hours of initial training, followed by dozens of hours of continuing education. Add to that the annual requirements to satisfy OSHA, the Departments of Labor and Health, and keep current with ever-changing medical protocols that you cannot possibly, to quoting your county executive, do more with less. The legal definition of a volunteer first aid squad is one that does not bill for its service. The law does not consider how that service is provided. A fully paid company can be considered a volunteer squad if it doesn't bill, while an organization fully staffed by volunteer personnel will not be, merely because it needs to bill to financially survive. This is something that we at the First Aid Council are working to correct. Your West Orange First Aid Squad is a member in good standing of the council, not because it bills or doesn't bill, but because it is staffed by dedicated, caring members of your community. Since 1963, they have served their neighbors, your constituents, your peers in the neighboring communities of Bloomfield, Montclair, and Nutley, as well as others throughout the state, have admirably stood strong in their support of their squads without relegating them to have to compete to serve their communities. We at the New Jersey State First Aid Council submit that you should follow their lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reardon.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Former Mayor, how are you?
How do you do? Sam Spina, 117 Maple Street, West Orange. Also a trustee of the West Orange First Aid Squad. I'm delighted to be here. As you know, I served in your position, I served in the mayor's position. So I have an idea of what is going on, what happens, and what you are capable of doing. And one of the things that you can do is provide for the well-being of the First Aid Squad. Why should you? Because they provide a very valuable service. In fact, when I ceased being mayor, I said, I've got to continue on doing something. And what did I choose? I looked around. There are many fine organizations in West Orange. And I said, well, the one I think that's going to be most interesting to me would be the First Aid Squad. Why? Because I spent time up there when I was a mayor and when I was a council person. They make good coffee. So I would suggest if you have an opportunity, you can drop in unannounced. You don't have to go there with fanfare, although you can, if you so desire. But you should spend some time up at the squad during the day, in the evening, and even if you want to go at midnight, because they work around the clock. And these people don't just acquire this knowledge by some bolt of lightning coming down and hitting them. They go to, basically, to school to learn it. They learn, they get, as it's called, as I found out, CEUs, and I'm sure most of you are probably aware of what that is. And with that, they go through this rigorous training, many times handling different items of aid that we're not even aware of. But be that as it may, what else do we do? And I think Cindy mentioned this. and she covered it very nicely. We do handle the scouts, and it was so nice to hear someone on the phone, I have a scout troop. Would I be able to come in with my boys or girls, whatever the case may be, and have someone give us a training or CPR or whatever it may be that they're interested in, to overlook one of the vehicles? Sure, there was always somebody there to take care of them. And not only do we take care of the kids, but we take care of the teachers too, which some people may find very interesting. The senior citizens. You say, well, what do they care? They care, believe me, they care about the first aid squad. There are other organizations. School classes. It used to be a delight to go to the different grammar schools, especially, to talk to the kids and let them climb all over the rig to see what it is. Okay, there was never any doubt as to where the council and the first aid squad stood. The door was always open to my office. The door was always open to this office. And when they needed money, we would place some in there if it were possible, and most of the time it is and was. And we would put in some for insurance. Everybody takes a bite out of the insurance. And even one of the rigs, every few years in our capital budget, we would place an ambulance, a new ambulance. And we're not talking about $50, we're talking about $150,000. So we did what we had to do, and it pays off. Now, what you do to the West Orange First Aid Squad, you are effectively doing it to all of the first aid squads in the northern part of New Jersey. You should be taking a leadership position and saying, we want the first aid squad in West Orange, and we want them to grow and thrive. We've got a lot of young people who are very interested in being members of the squad. And without your assistance, and we have to plead for your assistance, that may not be possible. We support other activities. What do you usually see at a football game? Look down to the left. Usually you see an ambulance. What do you see at the parade? Usually an ambulance. What do you see at the run that you're talking about, the overnight run? You'll see an ambulance. Need I say more? The first aid squad and the people that are part of the first aid squad, the majority of them are from West Orange, and they work very diligently and hard. They are well trained. In fact, I unfortunately have required their services a few times, so I know what they do and I know what they're capable of. In fact, I have even sat on the other side of the rig, and I've helped drive when necessary, because the people are eager, the squad members are eager to get out there and do their job. And all we need is a little more cooperation from you, the governing body, and it will be a tremendous success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Sure.
Oh.
Did you say, oh, I thought you said you wanted to make a comment.
You're always welcome to make a comment. I didn't know if anyone else had any other comments, but you are welcome to make a comment.
Good evening, Debbie Korzakowski, Woods End Road. I had two questions. I'm here again, just raising the issue about getting the voting, all the elections removed from the school district. All the schools, we have 8 out of 11 schools that have voting right now, and I know that the letter went out, and thank you, Susan, for your correspondence. I was just wondering if we could have more specific details presented here as to the progress thus far with that, so those who can't be here can get a little bit more information. And then my the second part of my question is, what is the likelihood that there will be security provided for the November election? Because I'm sure that, you know, the voting will still take place in the schools, and being that I tried to reach out to the higher-ups at the county level to see if we could get some assistance, and I got no reply, so I just thought, obviously, you may have a better reach in that respect. If we can't pay for our own officers to be at the schools, maybe the county should take some responsibility since they run the elections, if my understanding is correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Melissa Evans, North Coing Place. Also here for the petition. I'm glad to hear that the letters went out and that we are getting some positive responses. I understand we still need to wait for the county to do their part and approve, but at least we're getting some responses. I also understand that Gregory is going to be the trickiest, if at all anything, and perhaps we're already looking into some alternatives, such as using the trailers. The question I have is, if we do use the trailers and the fifth graders end up in the school somewhere for those 2 days, since voting is still taking place on grounds, would we be able to have further security for that particular school if we, you know, it's still happening on the grounds, children are still vulnerable? The other question I have is, I know we had spoken at mayor's offices, and I understand a little bit more about the security and who should pay for it and why, and it has to do with overtime. My question is, what about the auxiliary police? Are they something we can tap into to help cover the police? Also, I know there was something else. Okay, here, thinking outside the box, this is a serious, honest question. For some of the sites, when we find out if they're not approved, is there a way that we can find out specifically why they were not approved? And if it's something like they didn't have a ramp or the ramp wasn't long enough, is there a possibility that if the building were receptive, that somehow we do fundraising and we get the ramps built or whatever needs to be corrected on that building so that they could perhaps become a possibility again? Just trying to think outside the box to get our kids safe. And as of now, we have over 290 signatures on the site and what we've been collecting on paper, so interest is definitely growing. I went to the BOE Board of Ed meeting last night, and they have their full support, and I've been asked to come speak to them next year when all the new members come to try and gain more support when the new school year comes. As you can see, I'm not going to let this one rest. I know you guys are also working too, and I just want to keep it top of mind and make sure that it happens. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Any other comments? Good evening. State your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Dennis McNerney, Megan Brill's brother. Welcome. I would just like to make a statement in reference to the first aid squad. I'm a former member of Leonardo First Aid and Rescue Squad, Middletown Township. I'm a original resident of West Orange, born and raised here. And I would like to say that as a little boy, I went to Boy Scouts at St. Mark's Church, and I was the troop doctor. And I was always influenced by, at that time, we had the West Orange Police Ambulance, and the West Orange Fire Department had the other ambulance. And I pretty much grew up in this town hall, and I was always instrumental in Police Week, and I was always infatuated by the ambulance. At that time, we didn't charge anything to the residents. The police department did the job because they were on duty, the fire department, and they did a fine job back then. But as time went on, Stan Ditzel was the founder of the West Orange First Aid Squad. I worked with him, and he put his heart and soul into getting that squad started. And I remember when it was getting overtaxing for the police department, and they were having trouble because we had at that time a 1947 Cadillac and the door fell off it up in Pleasant Valley Way. So we had a 55 Cadillac down here. And at that time, the town wouldn't buy new ambulances, so we wound up getting used ambulances. So that went on for a while. But as we went forward, we realized that, like I said, they needed help. So Stan Ditzel pushed, and the squad came into existence, 1963, and they worked very hard for what they did. And, I saw them grow, and I really think that you really should consider to, what they do, and that maybe that they should, at least get a break, because they really, love what they do. And like I said, I spent a lot of time on the rescue squad, and I learned a lot, and being in Boy Scouts, I was also instrumental in starting the first Police Explorer post here in West Orange under Captain Benson and Captain Masson. And like I said, my sister is very instrumental in this town right now. And, I think she would agree with me on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McInerney.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Puglisi.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo this evening. I just want to touch on the polling sites. I can't comment on those. That's outside of our purview. That's a Board of Election issue. I will go to them tomorrow and let them know that comments were made again at the meeting to keep them updated, but that's really a decision that's the Board of Elections. Right. That's not a county executive decision. Just two things that I want to share today. On May 31st, we had our 12th annual Essex County Open House at Turtleback Zoo. Attendance was phenomenal. We had over 16,000 people come that day between 10 and 4:30. So it was just a great day to display what the county had, a great day to show off the zoo. Admission was free all day, and that 16,000 beat our previous record attendance by 6,000. So we increased attendance there by 50%. And then second, I brought some postcards with me, left some on the table outside, and also on our website, EssexCountyNJ.org, is our summer concert schedule. You have a very busy schedule at the Schindler Performing Arts Center. We have a busy schedule throughout our park system. We have about 35 events that start this Saturday, continue until September, and everything ranges from jazz, rock and roll, opera, blues. Actually, in two performances in West Orange, are at Eagle Rock Reservation and South Mountain Reservation. So you can get the complete schedule at the website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org. All the concerts are free, and we just hope for a sunny
Nice
summer.
weather, right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Any questions? Councilman Cirillo?
I do. Thank you, Council President. I saw a comment from a resident about the landscaping, tree trimming, et cetera, on the county roads. Specifically, they talked about Mount Pleasant Avenue. And I just want to know what the process was, the county process, or what kind of landscaping improvements, or how often are the trees trimmed, et cetera?
Well, we have inspectors that go through the county roads on a regular basis. They'll look for things for potholes, trees, anything like that, and then we'll assign our crews to take care of it. The county does have a, well, in the winter time, it's a pothole hotline. In the summertime, it's potholes, anything like that. Anything residents see on the roadways, they can call 973-239-3366, or they can also contact the main office at Public Works, which is 973-226-8500.
85?
Anything west of Prospect is state.
The state.
Yes.
It's a state road.
Mm-hmm.
Prospect, okay. 22685?
8500, that's the main office number.
Public Works.
And of course, if you have any sites that you want me to bring back,
No,
I
it's
can...
okay, Anthony, they weren't specific. I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
West of Prospect, State
Yeah.
Road.
State Road, west of Prospect.
Mhm.
I have a question.
No, it's a county road. Mhm.
Anthony,
Council President.
Councilman Cirillo.
Anthony, thank you for coming here again tonight with the great news on the county. One question I have, what is the status of Turtleback Rock and the new fields that are going to be developed there?
Well, that whole site was leveled, so right now it's in a fallow condition. We have, if you go up there, you'll see signs that it's opening in August 2014. We needed that time for the grass to knit, for the soil to settle. If we went on sooner than that, everything would just be torn up. So we're looking for an August opening. I don't have a specific date, but it was a project that we did collaborate with Mountaintop, and we want to include them when we do the opening.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to start with the first aid squad. I'm sorry. Any other comments? Thank you, ma'am. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment and just thank everyone here from the first aid squad. And to say that, yes, in fact, we do have a resolution on our agenda to meet in executive session. The resolution I'm keeping on the agenda this evening, just so that all of our council members can hear where we are at this point in time. We certainly appreciate the comments that were made this evening. The outstanding services in the 50 years of the First Aid Squad has never been in question, ever. That's not what we're discussing. So Councilman Krakowiak and I were on the telephone conference call when we met with when we spoke to the Office of Inspector General. You know, this all started with the third-party billing, so that's what we are discussing. What happens next is that there is a committee meeting that is supposed to occur that hasn't occurred yet. So what I want the council to hear is just where we are in the process at this point in time, so everyone can hear the same information. Working with the legal department, as you already know. So I really just wanted to make it clear that the services of the First Aid Squad have never been in question. And I think, Cindy, you were here when I mentioned the meeting this morning with Structured Learning Experience. Just personally, my son all through high school volunteered at the First Aid Squad and went on through college and got a job, ended up in Rhode Island, but ended up continuing in the field. So it has always been near and dear to all of us. I just wanted to make it clear. Dennis, thank you for your comments also. Again, there's no question whatsoever about the services from our First Aid Squad. And thank you for your history here in West Orange. As far as the voting goes, yes, 24 letters were sent out. We're talking about looking for alternate sites for voting to get voting out of the school system. 24 letters went to areas in town that fit the criteria. They have to be within a 1,000-foot radius of the existing polling site. We have received 2 letters so far that they do want to be considered. These are public places, so there should be no ADA. They have to already be ADA compliant, so there should be no problem with that. The next step will be for the Board of Elections clerk to go out and evaluate and review the sites that, as they come in, I will just give the information to the Board of Elections clerk for review. So that's really where we are now. We're just going to pursue, and hopefully we continue to get additional responses that are very positive. Great idea about the auxiliary police. Of course, that could be something that we could look at. And that the idea of using the trailers, it was really my idea to get them out of the, get the voting out of the schools, and at least the schools can be just used for classroom settings, and the trailers can be used for voting. So that will also have to be evaluated by the Board of Elections clerk. And I will just continue to keep you posted on the progress that we make. That's all I have.
Okay.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. I just have to concur with Council President McCartney's evaluation of the West Orange First Aid Squad. The volunteer service has never been in question in my mind at all. I was a volunteer for many years in a Nutley Volunteer Fire Department, so I know the time, effort, and dedication it takes to be a member of a volunteer organization. So your service and your loyalty and what you give to the township and your esteem has never been in question for myself, and I don't believe I'm any other member of the Township Council. So I hope this is resolved, very quickly. We owe you our thanks. About voting out of the schools, you got my email about it, and Council President McCartney and I, when we were at Gregory School during Strawberry Festival, we looked at the trailers, and they are ADA, they are handicapped accessible, they have to be. Other than what the Superintendent O'Neill said that they were not, but they are. So hopefully those are options that we can go, and I know you'll be moving forward on these other things, and we just have to work with the county, and the more and more people that give us ideas and things we think about, we can open it up and move it further, so we resolve the issue with voting in the schools. Dennis, thank you very much for your comments. Mayor Spina, thank you for being here tonight and for your opinions and your comments, and thank you very much, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
I don't have much more to add than what my colleague just said, but I also would like to thank Mayor Spina for coming out tonight, and certainly, I recuse myself. My son is on the First Aid Squad. I never question your services or your intent. I think you guys do a wonderful job, and I don't think that was ever a question with any of my colleagues either. As far as, like Council President McCartney just said, the voting, the 24 letters that did go out, we're going to try to do as much as we can, but at the end of the day, it is up to the Board of Elections. So I think what you said tonight was very important, that we might have to start thinking out of the box if they don't grant us everything. But certainly, I'm sure you have the full support of this council, and because children's safety first. And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Galati, Mr. Puglisi, thanks very much for speaking with us this evening. Ms. Zukowski, Ms. Evans, thank you for continuing to press on this issue. It sounds like you're doing everything you can, and it sounds like from the comments here that the various council members are also doing all that they can to see that we can get this done. I just had a thought to throw out. I think, Ms. Evans, you had mentioned something about fundraising. It may be that perhaps we cannot, we meaning the county, will not remove the polling places from the schools, so that perhaps a backstop might be to actually have off-duty police officers there. And I don't know what the issue or issues may be about having off-duty police officers there, but if it's a question of money, as you mentioned about fundraising, I'm sure that the various schools could raise the money that would be needed to bring in the off-duty police officers if that's the issue. So that may just be something to keep in mind going forward. Mr. Troisi, Ms. Reardon, Mayor Spina, and Mr. McNerney, I appreciate you guys coming here and keeping this issue alive and keeping the township informed, because this is a decision that the council is likely to have to make somewhere down the road, and it's going to affect, as the mayor said, Mayor Spina said, it's going to affect everyone in town who has the potential to be served by the West Orange First Aid Squad. I just want to, for those of you who may not have the background on this, and I'm going to be very general so to get through this, but the issue seems to be, right now, the town has an outstanding request for competitive proposals for an EMS provider, emergency medical service provider for the town. The First Aid Squad 2 years ago went to a hybrid model from an all-volunteer model in which they were having trouble staffing, and went to a hybrid, some people are paid, some people are still volunteers, so that they continue to serve the town as they have for 50 years. In order for them to do that, they would bill for insurance carriers of the people that they served, which is something that the town does, and so do hundreds, if not thousands, of other entities across the state and across the country. Other towns do that, have had their first aid squads go to these hybrid models and haven't blinked. My understanding is that Nutley, Montclair, and Bloomfield all have similar situations, and the towns, the municipalities are fine with that, and they continue on and continue serving their communities. But the administration has pushed, and the council majority agreed several months ago to start this bid process. What happened was the First Aid Squad did ask for a court order to delay the progress of the bid process, and the trial judge denied them. They didn't try to throw this out. They just said, let's slow down. Let's get the Inspector General's Office of the U.S. Health and Human Services Department to rule on this. The Inspector General has done this many times to advise other first aid squads and municipalities who have requested legal opinions. They've been doing this all the time. That's what the First Aid Squad wanted to do. The judge said no. In the fifth and most recent addendum to the request for proposals, the township made clear that this position, this EMS provider, would be secondary to the fire department's 3 ambulances or 3 rigs. And this entity, this EMS provider, would be secondary only if those 3 entities, those 3 rigs, couldn't provide the service. The First Aid Squad did not bid on this, and they said the reason why is that they could not financially afford to sit there with a fully staffed rig and potentially have so few calls to answer that they couldn't afford it. It sort of defeats the whole purpose of why they went to a hybrid model in the first place. But I understand there are 2 bids, and those bids require the EMS provider to have a rig and a full crew exclusive for use in West Orange, and that's why the First Aid Squad didn't, because Mr. Twisi said at the last council meeting that it almost certainly would lose money. And it's likely at some point that the administration will provide its evaluation of those bids and come to the council to approve one of these entities as a bidder. And when that happens, it will put the West Orange First Aid Squad out of business. And as everybody up here talks about, this is a great asset, and I've said it's one of the greatest things about our town. And it doesn't cost us a penny. The fire department, when they provide this service, they do an excellent job as well, but we're paying them, and it's cost us a lot of money to provide this service. So you have to pay for the staff, you have to pay for the equipment, and you have to pay for the supplies. I've asked the administration for a cost-benefit analysis of how much it cost us as a township to have the fire department provide this service, and they have declined to provide it to me. What they've said is they're going to wait until the committee that's reviewing the request for proposals makes its report. But I want to make it clear that the reason I want this is because I want a fully informed decision when this comes before the council so that we decide that if we go this route, it's going to cost us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide this service through the fire department. And it's no knock on the fire department, but you can't really argue with the first aid squad. It doesn't cost us a penny. So hopefully if that happens, I hope the council will say no to any other EMS service provider. There's no reason why we can't do this like many other towns have done and let the first aid squad bill. We face the prospect of the first aid squad shutting down after 50 years of service, and I find that just a horrendous idea. And I just wanted to follow up on what the council president said. The conference call that she referenced was not with the Office of Inspector General. It was with the State Division of Local Government Services. It wasn't even the head of the Division of Local Government Services. It was a mid-level manager who decided and told us that he thinks that we need to put this out for a competitive bidding. But we apparently cannot get anybody at the state government to give us a ruling on this about whether going to a hybrid business model and billing for insurance like everybody else does requires us to find an EMS provider. That's all. Thank you, Council President.
Finished comments.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman
Sorry,
Cirillo.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I don't understand what the difference is between executive session and what we can discuss relating to this matter. I know we just went over a summary of this entire issue. So while I do want to discuss it, I want to express my opinions, I want to understand more about the issue, I don't know what the parameters are. What can we talk about and what we can't talk about?
Litigation.
The attorney who's handling this litigation is supposed to be here tonight to speak with you in an executive session, answer any questions you have. In the meantime, and I take Mr. Troisi at his word that there's not going to be an appeal. I worked with Mr. Troisi on the LoSAP ordinance. I drafted it years ago. Certainly, I've worked with the first aid squad in the past, so it's not a matter of trust. But the fact of the matter is that despite what he says, the appeal window is open. So as a lawyer, I have to stand fast and indicate that until that window closes, which is 45 days from the date of the decision, which is somewhere in the latter part of June, it's still potentially appealable. So, my recommendation is that, there's already been discussion about the topic generally. I don't have a problem with that, but you don't want to talk about the litigation in any respect. And any questions you have with respect to it, you can speak with the attorney who's going to be here tonight who's handling it.
Right, because then I would be possibly imposing liability on the rest of the council if I guess, cross this.
Councilman, I don't know what you want to talk about.
This great parameter.
But
because we started talking about bids, we started talking about bid rigging, throwing stuff out. Like the councilman is talking about, voting no, and so that they get.
There's no bids before you right now. There's bids have been submitted to provide this service. A committee is considering those bids. It's not before the council now, so you have nothing to talk about.
So it's really a gray area. I don't
That's
know.
why we're going into executive session, so we can get more information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's urging not to vote for an alternative version. I'm very confused, and I don't know if the public is confused. As a policymaker, I'm very confused. I don't know what I can talk about. I don't know what I can't talk about.
Councilman, the best I can say is that there is nothing before you this evening. We have followed the bid process as we were advised by the Division of Local Government Services based on this issue. We've taken those bids. We've not only had a telephone call with the head of purchasing for the Division of Local Government Services, but it was also given to us in writing that this had to be bid out. And all I can say is the issue was that once the first aid squad wanted to bill for their services, by law, we have to put that out to bid, which we did. Just to clarify a couple of issues, the The fire department has been getting paid to do EMS services for the last 8 to 9 years already. And they also generate revenue for doing that. So it's not just a cost factor that we pay our fire department to do. We generate revenue based on the fact that we bill for our services. We do not balance bill residents. We only take whatever the insurance pays. So whatever your insurance pays, we take. If your insurance doesn't pay anything, we can even excuse the bill, which we do. But the bottom line here is that this is a process, a legal process that we have to go through. And there is a committee right now who is reviewing the 2 bids. And hopefully they will have those bids, they will have their decision within the next week or so. And once they have that decision, there may be a bid awarded. There may not be a bid awarded if both of those individuals don't qualify, because that's what the bid process is all about. And that's about all I can basically comment on.
Well, okay, that clarifies the, the bid process. I guess what I'm going to say, just plainly, is that we want to see what we can do on your behalf, on behalf of the West Orange First Aid Squad. I was eager to have this discussion during the special session, the executive session, but I think I got all the answers that we need. I guess it's a matter of we're waiting to see what's the time frame. When are we expecting to make a decision?
The committee has, I think the committee will be getting together probably by the end of this week or beginning of next week to make their decision.
Okay.
They have the bids and they are being reviewed.
And what kind of rights, Mr. Gross, does the township have to dispose of the process?
I think that at this point, I'm not going to.
I mean, I know.
In terms of looking at the process, I don't know that at this point that it would be fruitful or appropriate to talk about what the disposition of this particular, and certainly even in general, given the nature of this, I'm reluctant to even talk about it in general. I can just tell you that there is a bid process that we're going through. We're following the letter of the law as promulgated by the Division of Local Government Services, and the committee will be making its recommendation, and will be, whatever that recommendation may be. And there's, as I think as business administrator indicated, there are a number of things that recommendations that could come from this. Okay. So rather than belabor the point, I think in fairness to everyone involved, we probably should just leave it at that, and that let the committee move forward with its business, and then when they come back with a recommendation to the council, at that point in time, everything can be discussed publicly.
Okay. Other
than litigation issues, but as far as the process of procurement.
Right, because the council holds the right to move forward or not move forward with a recommendation.
Well, there's ramifications to all the decisions, and all those will be revealed.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, there's a bid process that goes out for air conditioning systems, and the bid needs to be awarded, so it comes before the council. There's a recommendation made by the administration, and it comes before the council. The council holds a right, if they feel that it's not in the best interest of the Treasury to approve that air conditioning bid, we can vote for it, or vote against it, or vote for it.
The council has the last say in terms of voting, right. And that's the council. At the end of the day, it's council's call.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gross. Mr. Puglisi, we didn't talk about the new playground coming in August 1st. At the South Mountain Reservation, we had a great press conference, Council President, a couple of weeks ago. So that's exciting. So any families that have children, there's going to be a new playground on Cherry Street, South Mountain Reservation. The design looks great, and as you all know, if you haven't gone down there, it's a really beautiful facility. It's coming along great. Go for a walk along the reservoir. The bridge looks terrific. So thank you, Mr. Puglisi and the county executive for that work. Voting in schools, I think we've said what we had to say. I admire your passion and thank you for that. And we we concur with the need to make sure that our children are safe in our schools. So we'll do what we can to make sure that that issue is continues to be addressed. We talked to the administration, and the clerk has been talking to the county. Our office is in charge of that, so we'll move that along. That's all I have to say, Council President. Thank you.
There was one other comment, though, about the, if the Board of Election clerk does not approve any of the sites, I certainly will find out what the reasons are, reasons why.
I don't think, well, I was going to, but we're going to talk about an executive session.
Madam Clerk.
Consent agenda, approval of minutes of previous meeting, May 20th, 2014, public meeting.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids. The reappointment letter on behalf of the Township Council to reappoint Bart Quinzel to the Zoning Board as alternate number 1 for a term of 2 years beginning on July 1st, 2014 and expiring on June 30th, 2016.
Consent?
Consent.
Bills, are there any questions on the bills?
If I could, Council President, I just had a couple of questions about bills. And I know this is last minute. If you know what it is, fine. If not, we can talk about it later. But there was a, in the current bills, there was a payment of $390,000, and the reference was Glenn David Schwartzchild in the temporary emergency tax appeals. Can you tell me about that? Because I don't think that's come before the council yet. But
It's, all of these are judgments that we've received.
Right.
That particular one may be an attorney, that may be a compilation of many, where the attorney themselves is getting paid on behalf of their clients. So I'd have to look at it individually, but
okay.
That's all of those, regardless of where they come from council. Council really doesn't authorize, or doesn't make the final call. Obviously, the judge makes a final call on.
Correct. Yes.
And there are times when we do bring things, when we're looking to settle cases, with the taxpayer, where we may come before council about a settlement. But at the end of the day, if the judge makes a call or the tax court makes a call, that's what.
Right. And it wasn't so much that, it was that what's on the agenda today is for successful tax appeals about $160,000 and change, and that raises it to about $1.2 million so far this year. But I just didn't remember a $390,000 individual judgment. So I just was wondering if that's...
Yeah, I believe most likely, and again, I'd have to go back and just double check, but I mean, I agree with you. I don't think that one single one that size, although there are a couple of them that were pretty large. And again, it may be the same attorney handling those cases, and therefore the check is made. But I'll go back and run through that again one more time with the tax collector.
Okay, thank you. Just the other question I had, there was virtually an entire page in the bills about tax lien certificate redemptions. And I thought it was unusual that they were all coming through at the same time. Have we done something that brought up a lot of redemptions for the tax lien certificates? We didn't have a recent sale.
It does occur. I mean, it does occur. And it's a matter of sometimes that they're processed all at the same time. That could be over a couple month period where we knew they were coming up.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Resolutions, are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
We are having an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we pull that, right?
Anyone have any resolutions to pull? Councilman?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Usually you start down at that end, so I wasn't ready.
No one was responding.
Oh, okay.
So.
I apologize. Yes, if I could pull agenda item F, that's Resolution 102-14, resolution authorizing contracts for township attorney and township assistant township attorney. And then also agenda item M, Resolution 109-14, resolution authorizing shared services interlocal agreement between Township of West Orange and West Orange Board of Education for installation of new bleachers at the West Orange High School Athletic Complex. And agenda item Q, which I believe is Resolution 113-14, which is the contract to hire a professional services and engineering firm to do work on the bleachers at the high school baseball field.
Anyone else? Okay, with the exception of F, M, and Q, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented.
Go through the resolutions or the ordinances? Finish with our agenda here. The ordinances on second and final reading, we have none. Ordinances on first reading, we have ordinance 2410-14, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Section 50.1, entitled Parking Meters Definitions. Is there I make a motion to introduce on first reading.
Second.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Spango?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. I just wanted to say that this ordinance on first reading is really to update and amend the general ordinance to add the definition of central pay station at different parking lots in town. Ordinance 2411-14 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic, subsection 7-32.2, restricted parking zones, and this would provide a handicapped parking space at 8 Shepherd Terrace and 20 Llewellyn Avenue. I make a motion to introduce on first reading.
Second.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Spango?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. Okay.
Back to resolutions.
Back to resolutions. Resolution F was pulled. 102-14, authorizing contracts.
Thank you, Council President. These are our proposed contract. The resolution is about proposed contracts through the end of this year for our township attorney and assistant township attorney. I don't need to go into what I've said before, but I feel like I have not been pleased with some of the advice we've gotten from our two attorneys, and I just, without belaboring the point, I just wanted to be able to vote individually on this one.
Okay.
Is there any discussion?
Yep. I don't have any concerns that Councilman Krakowiak has, so we can go to a voice vote.
Okay.
I appreciate the work that's done at the cost saving to the township, and have always respected the opinions of our attorney and assistant attorney.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion moved. Second.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Spango?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. And Resolution M, 109-14.
Thank you, Council President. This is a resolution authorizing the shared services agreement related to the $60,000 project to improve the sight lines on the third base side of the high school baseball field. And I just wanted to go over some of the language in the shared services agreement, if I could. What this project does is it's requiring the township to pay for the changing the bleachers on the third base side to improve the sight line, and also making other improvements. And I'm just trying to get a better idea. I wanted to just read some of the aspects of the shared services agreement so I can get a better idea of why the township is doing something on the Board of Education's property at the high school. Let's see. I'm just trying to get my notes here. The third whereas in this agreement says, the township and board have determined and mutually agree that new bleachers are required at various fields at the athletic complex because the existing seating is outdated and antiquated. And I wanted to find out exactly what those are. What are the locations and where are the bleachers that are outdated and antiquated?
I think it's fair to say that this is a document that's drafted by council based on the bond ordinance that was passed with the specific money was set aside for a particular set of bleachers. The verbiage within the agreement, I think, applies to specifically to that particular case. And there's obviously later on there's a resolution this evening to actually hire a professional to actually look at the redesign of those bleachers. So while the verbiage is broad in the agreement, the intent is very specific, and in fact the bond ordinance is also very specific in terms of that it has to be for the bleachers and has to be, and when we come back before the council, it'll be to award a contract for that particular bleachers on the third base side at the high school. So I think the agreement is, I think for the most part, much of it is probably similar to the other agreements that were recently adopted by council that calls for a shared service agreement between the township and the Board of Education, whereby the township pays for those improvements. And so, like I said, I think the verbiage itself is probably broad, but I think the meaning is, in terms of what we're going to be asking the council to do, is very specific to those bleachers on the third base side of the high school.
So it just, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Gross. I'm just wondering, why is the language in there if it does not apply to the activity that the legislation is supposed to enable?
Because the people that are drafting it, probably did not have the narrow focus that the people on the ground have. I mean, in terms of coming back to you, when we're going to come back to you, we're going to come back with a narrow focus of what you wanted to do. I mean, there was a discussion when the bond ordinance was prepared as to specifically what this was about. To the extent that I want legal team, to the extent that we have conversations with them about what we're trying to do, they probably did not have that narrow of a focus. So they were putting together an agreement that was based on the general gist of what we where we're going. So I personally am not bothered by that, but again, that's up to the council to determine. I can tell you we cannot move forward without an agreement. So if the council determines that to not move forward with this resolution, then the next resolution also would not move forward with either, because I can't disperse funds until we have an agreement with the Board of Ed.
So part of my concern is that there is likely to be a purpose why the language is in there. And what I am concerned about partly is that whether this is potentially opening a door for the township to replace bleachers, other bleachers at the high school, because it's in here. It's in the resolution, it's in the shared services agreement.
Only if you fund it.
Can I just
Please
butt in here for a second? I mean, I'm looking at, I had looked at the third whereas clause in the resolution, and I didn't have a copy of the agreement in my packet, but Mr. Sayers has given it to me. The same statement is in the third whereas clause of the agreement. I'm not sure who drafted this, wasn't me, but was it bond counsel who drafted this? Or
No, it's general counsel.
Okay, but I mean, all this is a recital that indicates this is one of the reasons why this agreement is being entered into. That's why it's being proposed, because it's a statement that says the bleachers at the athletic complex have become outdated and antiquated. I don't know who drew that conclusion, but all it is a conclusion that is part of the justification for the agreement and the resolution supporting it.
Yes, but the copy that's supposed to be in the resolution, shared services agreement, is supposed to, I think, factually reflect the reason and the legalities of why we're doing this stuff. So either we're just replacing the bleachers on the third base side of the high school baseball field, or we're determining and mutually agreeing that new bleachers are required at various fields of the athletic complex because the existing seating is outdated and antiquated. So which is it? And I don't understand why we put language in here that doesn't apply to what we're doing, and potentially open the door for more of this stuff to come
Again,
through.
I'll just reiterate that the council could not move forward with another project unless it intended to fund it. Now, if council next year decided that it wanted to replace other bleachers, I guess that would be a legal question, whether it would require a new agreement or whether this agreement would apply. But as of this point in time, it's the things that have been approved, if you approve this tonight, very specific of what we can do.
Well, I mean, first of all, there's no such thing as opening the door. I mean, you have to approve every contract. So the fact that a contract may contain a recital that has a general statement in it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you can then, go forward and do whatever you want with respect to that issue, obviously. Looking at the now therefore clause, which is the operative part of this agreement, it contains, I think, more specificity. And I'm again looking at it for the first time, but it talks about an estimated cost and so forth. So I assume that this is the operative part of this agreement. So the recital, may reflect the reason for the specific item to be done, and it's just not very specific. It could have been more specific. I don't know why it wasn't, frankly, but it doesn't open the door to anything. I mean, you can't take this and then go on and do something else. It has to come before you.
Well, I'm just concerned that this is essentially saying that we're going to be getting more of these to replace other bleachers.
This particular
policy decision. I mean,
this particular agreement is more of a housekeeping matter in terms of we can't, the council approved the funding for the project. I can't disperse or authorize the use of that funding without an agreement between the two bodies, period. So it's really a housekeeping matter in terms of that, because what this council can really do is governed mostly by the bond ordinance that was done, not by this agreement. This agreement, it gives general parameters, the bond ordinance is specific.
So again, the same whereas says the existing seating is outdated and antiquated, but that doesn't apply to this situation either. Is that correct?
Well, to the extent that the council is contemplating repairing or making changes to bleachers that do not fit the need, I think antiquated or that terminology would apply.
I would agree.
I mean, you wouldn't be spending $60,000 if it wasn't antiquated.
Right.
Well, it's not antiquated. I've sat over there for the last couple of years. It's not antiquated. It was put in 2006, so I don't think it's antiquated. What the justification I've heard is that the sight line to, I guess, watch home plate isn't as good as it needs to be. But that's not antiquated.
Some might consider it that way.
Okay. In the next whereas it says it's in the best interest of the township to provide for new bleachers at the athletic complex. Could somebody explain why it's in the best interest of the township to fund this?
Again, Councilman, I think the issue is to the extent that the council believes that the current status of the bleachers are not adequate and adequate for use for township residents, that it is in the best interest of the township if, to the extent that this is a priority project that has been allocated and funded for, that is, that's what this council does. The council makes decisions. Every decision it makes is in the best interest of the township. So I think, or at least that's their intention. to do so. So, I mean, I think that while I understand your focus on the verbiage, I think it's clear that to the extent that if we're going to spend $60,000 on a project, that the township's interest would be best served. The intention is to serve the best interest of the township by doing that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be spending $60,000.
So the best interest is that when we spend the $60,000, people who sit in those bleachers will be able to see the baseball game better.
Well, that's the decision that the council has to decide, and certainly to the extent that it's allocated $60,000 to this project for the purposes of correcting what is believed to be an inadequate situation. Yeah, I mean, again, whether you're making a $60,000 decision, a $6 million decision, or a $60 decision, those decisions are in the best interest of the township. I think by definition.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Maybe it might seem that third whereas is even redundant because it says that I have determined mutually agree that new bleachers are required at various fields at the athletic complex. Even if we eliminated that whole paragraph and just went on to township and board determine bleachers at the athletic complex, can we just eliminate that whole paragraph? It is redundant.
I would be hesitant to eliminate a paragraph from
that lawyer wrote.
That the lawyers wrote, number one. Number two, also there's been conversations between the parties. So to the extent that the parties, the attorneys for the parties anyway, have signed off on this verbiage. If you start going and making changes in it, obviously that would delay the process.
I think it was determined so many upgrades have already been made, and this was one more upgrade to be made at the complex, the athletic complex.
So why doesn't the school district fund it?
Because it's not just the school that can use it. I don't have the percentage of how many other recreational activities go on there between
Mountaintop and PAL.
Mountaintop, PAL, but there are other.
I mean, if I may interject, I mean, between PAL and Mountaintop League, there's over 7,000 children and youth athletes that use the high school facilities. The high school doesn't use it as much per se. So, I mean, that's where the justification is. It is being used by Board of Education activities.
Right.
I mean, that's why I would say to fund it.
That's spelled out in section 5.2.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a 60-90 baseball field. So virtually all of the 7,000 kids can't play on that because they don't play on a 60-90 field. That's 60 feet to the home plate and 90 feet between the bases. So
no, I understand, Councilman, but not to interrupt you, but also they use those fields for soccer too, for small-sided soccer, and the parents sit on those bleachers and all that. So, I mean, I'm not, I'm just interjecting is that it's not only used for baseball, but soccer is such a big program that they have to use that baseball field for small-sided fields. So. And there's a lot of kids in our program. I mean, so.
But I'll just point this out. It's not going to improve the sight line if anybody plays soccer on that field because they will still be going through the fence and they'll still be going through the net.
I understand.
It's not going to help them at all.
I understand.
It's just going to cost us $60,000 and we're going to have to, anyway. And I also don't understand, the township has paid for so much of the athletic facilities over there. There are already existing shared services agreements. And in fact, I think we paid for all of the baseball field, including the lighting, which was over $1 million. And we have a shared services agreement in place that's been there for years. I don't understand. It's the same facility.
We didn't pay for the baseball field. We returfed the soccer field. Lincoln Field was returfed.
This is before Councilman, you and I got on the council. This is going back 10 years.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 109-14?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Spango?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Resolution 113-14, Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. I'm glad to see Mr. Lepore here. He's been talking about the project. This proposed legislation is to hire a professional services firm to do some design and a survey and do construction bids. And I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. I guess my primary one is, this is if I understand correctly, it's not a competitive, it wasn't a competitive solicitation. You just went out to these guys because, well, you are much more articulate than I am, so perhaps you could just give a minute or two overview of what the services are, why you went out for these guys, and maybe I can ask a few questions based on
that. Okay, well, the services are to redesign the home or third base side bleachers at the West Orange High School baseball field. Having discussed this preliminarily with the design firm of PS&S of Warren, New Jersey, wanted to make some changes with fencing, wanted to put higher bleachers that are a bit deeper, again, to improve the sight lines from the third base side of the field, looking towards the pitcher's mound and the batter's box area. And what we decided to do is we would put taller and deeper bleachers in, perhaps an 8-row or a 10-row bleacher. Those bleachers would be elevated, not just on the ground, but there'd be an ADA ramp up to them. That would necessitate some additional site work up there. A retaining wall would need to be built. If anybody is familiar with that site, you'll know along the, as you walk to that field, the tennis courts at Degnan Park are at a grade considerably lower than the fields itself. We would need to expand into that area to have a platform, to have relocate the pathway that you walk to the baseball field, and even around the backstop and along the first base side would need to be relocated. That's all going to require fill. It's going to require a wall. And what I decided to do was just simply to go back, contact the original design firm of PS&S, who was hired by the board, not by the town, and ask them to go review the project with it, go over some ideas, and then ask them to solicit a proposal. And the original proposal came in at the end of the month. I asked them for some revisions because some of the services that they were going to provide, such as assistance during the bidding process or the construction process, I felt we could do and save some money there, approximately $2,000. Also, they looked at some of the field work that they would have to do and believed they could do a little bit more economically. You'll notice in the proposal probably about almost a third of the cost of the proposal is topographic and location survey, because of the information that's really needed to make sure that these are placed in the best location, as well as determining the amount, the length, the height of the walls that would need to be there. So a lot of time is going to be, or a good portion of time is going to be spent really just doing some field reconnaissance and topographic information. And again, I went back to the original design firm. I felt that they knew the facility, that they would be the best at coming up with a design that would work and be economical.
And I understand that perspective, and I hope you understand my perspective. They were hired to do the design of the original, and now they're being hired 8 years later, or potentially hired 8 years later, to basically fix the mistakes that they made originally.
Well, I'm not sure what their contract was with the board at the time and what their charges may have been by the board. You know, certainly, you know, I didn't have any input into that. I don't think Bill Kehoe had much input. I think that really focused a lot on providing an all-purpose field, a baseball field, a field turf field similar to Lincoln Field, as well as the stadium. I think those were the main focal points. I'm not sure if many people really looked or paid very close attention at the board to how the sight lines would be. I know, for example, you know, the lighting was added as a separate project. The dugouts were a separate project from the original one that was done by PS&S. And I think now, after 8 years, I think people are starting just to see or determine that they just don't have a good sight line And they've asked the town to go back and try to correct that. And again, I think this firm is fully capable. I just don't know what was the decision with the board or their contract or what their interaction was with the board at that time.
Well, I know I've sat on those bleachers for a good deal of the last 2 years, and there are a row or two of the closer in bleachers where you can't see home plate. But I would just think you're still going to have the fence and you're going to have the netting for the foul balls that are still going to be there. So I'm not sure how much of improvement we're going to have for $60,000.
Well, I think you're going to get an improvement because we're going to put higher bleachers. We are going to lower the fence in some areas, and there's going to have to be some warning signs to call attention to the spectators in those bleachers that they have to be aware of batted balls and potentially thrown balls as they would at most other, I'll say, larger facilities. But you're right. Right now, when you're sitting down that line and you're trying to look at home plate through chain link fencing, it just, all that mesh starts to meld together almost as if it were solid. And what the point of this design would be to try to raise everybody, not everybody, but put seating capacity above that fence area.
Are there any steep slope considerations here? Because, as you know, the portion of the property with the baseball field is much higher than the tennis courts, and there's a rather sharp slope downward from the baseball field to the tennis courts. There's got trees on there, but is that an issue for our steep slope? Or is that just basically having to do with residential?
Well, I think the concern with the slopes is going to get resolved by constructing a wall.
How high is the wall going to be?
I think it's going to depend on whether, and again, I asked this firm to look at 8 or up to a 10-row bleacher. Even though there's only about 4 feet difference in the depth of the bleachers from front to back for an 8 or a 10 row, it can make the difference of a wall being 2 to 4 feet higher than it may need to be. But I would suspect that we may be in a 6 foot or slightly higher with the wall, even just for an 8-row bleacher.
Is there a chance this could come in at higher than $60,000?
I think there's a possibility that could happen, but that's why I think we need to look closely at the wall itself, because I think most of the cost of this is going to be in site work.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any thoughts about what to do with the existing bleachers that are there?
I think some of them will just be slid a little further down the line, still be used. I don't think there's any necessarily intent to eliminate them. It's really to augment the seating with some better seating that's there.
Can I just ask a question? Where did this come from? Who requested this? I know it came from the administration. I don't think any of the council people suggested this.
I assume there were people who were complaining about the sight line, and it was requested for us to help them out to do it.
Okay. So this whole thing came through the business administrator's office?
No, it didn't come from my office.
Well, I'm just trying to find out who was complaining and why we think
We're
that.
complaining about the sight lines, and it came to our attention to help reline the bleachers, and we agreed to do that. That's what we agreed to do.
The Board of Education.
I mean, it didn't come to me directly from the Board of Education, but it came to us from people, I guess, who were complaining about the sight lines, who wanted things changed. And then it was requested for us to go up and look at it. We went up one morning, took a look at it, and the mayor decided we were going to do the project.
Yeah, because I don't think it came from the school board. I talked to one of the school board members, and she said they didn't know anything about it until yesterday.
That I can't comment.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lepore.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 113-14?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Cirillo?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Spango?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. We just finished the ABC hearing.
Okay.
Hearing on renewal.
Yeah, yes,
And then we'll go into executive
Are you
session.
going to do that first?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, get it
Just
something.
finish, right? Then we could just finish.
Don't they have to leave? No?
Executive session.
No,
But we have to,
You got to go into ABC, vote on that,
Right.
come out of ABC, and then go into executive session.
okay.
Mark is here.
I make a motion that we exit as a town council and go into ABC board.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is moved.
So good night. We're just going to say good night, everyone in West Orange. See you soon.
And don't forget about the flag ceremony.
Flag ceremony, yes.
Friday the 13th.
Flag ceremony on Friday,
13th,
Friday the 13th.
10 a.m. at Firehouse Headquarters.
Washington Substation dedication to Timmy Groves on Saturday, 10:30. We're done. Good night.